So I was kind of wandering around the halls here at SEMA like I always do, looking for old friends and familiar faces, and I wanted to stop by the Air Technologies booth because I heard they had some new stuff, but it's no longer Air Technologies. It's RideTech. What's the deal?
Well, Kevin, one of the new things for this year's SEMA is the RideTech change. You know, we've evolved a little bit into a full-line suspension company, so we kind of transitioned the name into RideTech as to eliminate kind of a perceived barrier. You know, when you think Air Ride Technologies, you only think about air suspension. But RideTech manufactures anything from air suspension to our Tiger Cage stainless roll cage products to our strong arm tubular control arms.
Okay, so that makes a lot more sense. You know, RideTech cover the whole suspension line. Did the company move, change, new owners, or anything like that?
Nothing's changed except the name, Kevin. Same ownership, same people, same quality products.
Right on. Well, speaking of quality products, you guys have been pioneering new suspension pieces and ways to control air suspensions, and you've got a new shock, and I'm really intrigued because I heard this is an electronic shock.
Exactly. Given the popularity of all the road racing and autocrossing and the pro touring scene and all that, you know, we've developed the air suspension into a real performance product, and the RideTech Select is just another step in that process. The RideTech Select is now an adjustable shock absorber that uses an electronic control system. It's actually set up with two sets of valves, so you've got a firm set of valving and a soft set of valving, and you can change in between those two at the push of a button inside the car. You know, previously our shock waves were all a hydraulic shock that had a knob or a valve adjustment on the body, so you'd have to manually adjust the stiffness of the shock absorber. The RideTech Select now will actually let you do that at the push of a button.
So, I mean, this sounds like, you know, like new Corvette stuff.
Absolutely. This type of technology is used on a lot of late model luxury cars.
Okay, now what about the kind of valving that this comes with? Do you get to preset the firm and the soft, or have you guys figured out what works best?
Well, Kevin, we've done a lot of testing on a lot of popular applications in the hot rod scene, and we basically pre-program all the valving before any of the shock components go out of the warehouse.
Mm-hmm. I keep noticing this is a spring here at RideTech.
Exactly. That's all part of that name change. You know, everyone is familiar with the Shockwave product we've always manufactured, but now that we're RideTech, we can branch out into the other suspension products like coilovers and coil springs. The Select technology, which is a runner-up in the best engineered new product this year, we're using not only for a standalone shock absorber, but in the Shockwave and as well in the coil spring products we're developing.
Interesting. So something possibly new coming down the pipe there, huh?
Definitely. Well, Kevin, what we've got here is our GMA body chassis, one of our demo chassis, and it's got all the new stuff installed on it, like the RideTech Select series of shock absorber technology. As we were talking before, at the push of a button, you can go from soft, cushy cruising ride to a bit of a firmer, sportier ride just by lighting that button up. So why don't you go ahead and try that out.
This is the button right here.
That's the one that you need to press.
Okay, so as it is, without pressing the button, I've got. Well, I bottomed the whole thing out. So we've got a nice floppy, soft setting. I hit this.
A comfortable ride quality.
And then immediately that tunes up.
Are we on the bump stops?
We're pretty low. That's all right. Well, load it up. That's what you would do in a normal situation. Nice and stiff. Look at that. That's a huge difference. And I like the fact there's no lag. There's no latency.
Exactly. It's immediate response, and it's all done inside the cockpit of the car as opposed to having to crawl under the vehicle to adjust the valving on the shock body itself.
Pretty cool. So if you're going to go to the track, you hit the button, you get nice and stiff.
Exactly.
Okay. This looks like a new controller, too. What's this all about?
This is our new Ridepro E3 control system, and I'll just place the chassis down so we can probably get a little better look at it here. It's got a lot of the same features as the previous E2 control system in that it's still auto leveling. It still uses a combination of height sensor and air pressure sensor to bring the car to its presets, 1, 2, and 3, ride height, deflated, or inflated, say to get into your driveway or load into a trailer and so on. One of the improvements of the E3 is a more viewable display where it uses the sun's light to actually brighten or enhance the display so you can see it a lot better in direct sunlight. And it's got some cool features like almost an onboard diagnostic. You know, if it senses there's an air leak somewhere or a voltage drop somewhere in the system, it'll actually pop up a warning to the consumer to say, hey, we've got a problem, we need to check this out.
Very cool. And this looks like a small USB connection here?
Exactly. Another thing that we've upgraded is a mini USB to the control panel. So say a customer's building a real long car, a limousine, or a station wagon, and they need to stretch that cable out a little bit. These mini USBs are readily available online.
Very cool. I keep looking at this and thinking about how this is going to look you know, more integrated with some of the more high-tech dash displays instead of just a standard LED kind of display.
Exactly.
Very nice stuff.
Thanks.
And the A-body also has the Tiger cage for the A-body, right?
Exactly, Kevin. Another new application for the Tiger cage this year is the GM A-body, you know, your Chevelles, your GTOs, and so forth. You know, just like the previous Tiger cages for the Camaros and the Novas, full stainless steel construction, full bolt-in, ready to go into a finished car with a finished interior. So it's going to save the installer a lot of time.
Wow. So it really is way beyond just air suspension.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned the website before was RideTech.com. None of that changed?
None of that's changed. The website's always been RideTech.com and always will be.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm going to be hitting this button and jumping up and down some more because this is fun.